Be clear. Simone, we did not pay you. We know that.
That's right.
But all right, let's do one more comment here on Twitter. Here's one from Lob Ross. Eddie and Webby, I love all the pro pickleball player cameos in your Pickleball for Life music video. Simone's appearance is my favorite. She seems like a very fun person. Nice. Awesome comment. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. And yes, she is a very fun person. I can attest to that.
That's right. Very Simone-focused Twitter comments, but we definitely appreciate them. Feel free to tweet to us.
Yes, indeed, Rooney. Oh, and one more comment we got to get to. For those that tuned into episode 50, we have not forgotten about the big free hoodie giveaway, and that's going to happen on today's show at the end of the show. So you need to stay tuned. We're going to randomly select one of our YouTube subscribers. So anybody that is a YouTube subscriber is in the running, and we will randomly select a winner at the end of the episode.
Okay. Can they still subscribe right now and be eligible?
You can. Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead and subscribe, and we will pull from the subscriber list at the end of the show.
That's right. Awesome. Anything else we want to cover before we bring on our guests here, Webby?
No, I think we've wasted enough of everybody's time. I think we should just get right to the action.
I like it.
This is going to be a very fun episode. I'm super excited to talk to today's guests. They are both co-hosts of a very popular pickleball podcast that Eddie and I are huge fans of. One of them joined us back on episode 36, and the other is a first-timer here on the Eddie and Webby podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the hosts of the Pickleball Kitchen Podcast, Barrett and Jana Lightfoot. Thank you very much for joining us. How you guys doing?
Doing great here. Thank you for having us.
Nice. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. Like I said, Eddie and I are both big fans of your podcast, and we had a great time with Barrett last time, so we're very happy to have both of you here tonight. This is going to be very cool.
Well, thanks for tuning into the show. We really appreciate it, man. And we love y'all's show as well.
Nice. Thank you. So Barrett, when you were with us back in episode 36, we learned quite a bit about your background and how you first got into pickleball. So I think it's only fair that if we start today's show by learning a bit about Jana. So Jana, I'd love to find out how you first got involved in this crazy world of pickleball that we all love.
Well, it was, I think, a great serendipitous moment, if you will. I was actually on a little vacation down in Cabo, and I was with some friends. And at this particular resort, there were pickleball courts. And he said, "Hey, let's go play pickleball." And of course, like everybody else, the first time they hear that, we're like, "What is that?" And so we ran over and played pickleball for a couple of hours, and I instantly fell in love. I grew up in a home with two big brothers, and so we always played. I'm very competitive, which I've described many times on the podcast, and so I was instantly hooked. And we didn't know what in the world we were doing. We were just wailing on that ball back and forth, but we loved it. We laughed. We had so much fun. It was hot. It was just an absolute blast. And so that was the first time I played. And about 8 months later, I was in California, and somebody there said, "Hey, here's pickleball courts. Let's go play." And I said, "Yeah, I've played once and loved it." And then after that, it was probably about another 6 months after that. So now we're in the spring of 2017, and I just went to like an open rec play gym and started playing. And I had a little bit of free time that year, so I started playing just about every day, 4 or 5 times a week. So it didn't take long to be off to the races.
Nice. And I don't know about you guys, but like for Eddie and I, pickleball has pretty drastically changed our lives. Just like we've only been really heavily involved for a little over a year. So Barrett, I'll start with you. How has pickleball changed your life?
It's been a complete life changer. Like it's not even close to being like anything else. I mean, it's one of these things where it's like events. Like when I remember something, I'm like, was that pre-pickleball or was that post-pickleball?
Right.
I mean, it's that extreme, just
not
not only from the play standpoint of actually playing the game and being involved in it, and playing in tournaments and stuff like that. But Pickleball Kitchen itself, the website and stuff, has also been completely life changing as well. Especially coming off a horrible business failure. So yeah, it's been totally life changing. I mean, it's not even like I almost don't even remember myself 4 years ago. Very, very different.
It's hard to even remember what we did with all of our time.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
What did I do on?
I mean, as much as I play pickleball, I'm like, how did I fit anything else into my life before pickleball? Because clearly I had a lot of extra time.
Right? Yeah, I feel
that I was not aware of.
Yeah, because I feel like I have like hardly any free time, but somehow I managed to fit in hours and hours of pickleball every single week. Like it's crazy, and
that's right.
It's crazy. The last year, like my vacation time from work has highly revolved around my pickleball plans.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, isn't it? Because like 3 years ago, I would claim to be busy. Well, I was clearly lying, because now I've just magically been able to fit in, 10 to 15 hours of pickleball every week, right? So yeah, clearly I wasn't busy. Clearly not.
Well, yeah. Yeah, same here. Like a few years ago, before pickleball, I felt the same way. I felt like I never had free time. Yet now I play pickleball like crazy. I shoot and edit videos like crazy for the YouTube channel. We do this podcast and all the planning that goes into that. I'm like, how is this even possible?
Yeah, exactly.
I love it though. I would not change it for a moment. I've been loving life for the last year. That's all I can say.
Us too.
Well, and I tell you, I would play more if I could find people to play more. Like at night, the only thing that I'm really lacking are more victims to go out and just, play all evening, because I have to play at night because I work in the day. So I go out, and in Texas, it's very hot still. So we start at 7:30 at night and play till about 11 p.m. And as many nights as I can find people to play, I will do it.
Nice. So I assume you guys have a lot of lit courts in your area. Is that right? So you can play, or do you just play till it gets dark?
No, we have a lot of lit courts. It depends on the area. It's actually very random in Dallas, like what is good and what isn't. So, we don't have very many permanent pickleball courts. They're coming along. They're starting to trickle along, but a lot of it is like, junior tennis courts with lines on them. That kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Our city park codes, make it possible for tennis court lights to stay on till 11 p.m. and then they automatically shut off.
Yeah.
And so that allows us, where we've got, marked courts to play until 11 o'clock. Yeah. So we do.
Okay. That's not bad. I would love to have lit courts where I'm at. There's none anywhere close to me that have lit courts, but then again, I'm in Michigan, so there's a big portion of the year that we can't even play outside because of the winters and stuff like that.
Oh, right, of course.
But I feel like one of these days there'll be some lit courts around Michigan, in my area. I mean, there's some in Grand Rapids, but none really in Southeast Michigan that I'm aware of.
Well, do you all have many indoor courts there? We don't have that option hardly at all.
Currently in the area that I live in, there's not any super close. There's like, if you go an hour east, there's some. And then if you go to Grand Rapids, there's some there. But there's really not a whole lot. Most of a majority of the play in fall and winter is on gym courts that just put up portable nets with lines and stuff. And some of the gymnasiums have dedicated lines, but then they still use the portable nets. And that'll do. And that's what I started off with. And I was totally fine with that. And I would always call people snobs if they like refused to play on gym court surface. But after playing a lot of outdoor pickleball this summer, I kind of get it now. Like I'm kind of dreading playing on the gym court surfaces this winter.
Right. Yeah.
And I've gotten decisively worse at indoor pickleball because I play so much outdoor now. When I go indoor, it's a little bit of a disaster because my timing is off and I really don't do it as much as I used to. But when winter comes, I will have to, just because of the addiction, go back to the gym court play.
We could talk like 20 more minutes just about that subject. Like I already have like an entire thing in my head of what to talk about with that, because it's a big topic of how do you balance between outdoor and indoor play.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You could definitely spend a lot of time on that. And that actually brings me to my next question. Like when it comes to the podcast, like what goes into the process for you guys when it comes to coming up with a topic? Because you guys always have such great topics. I always learn something new every time I listen to your episode. I'm sure everybody else that listens to it does as well. So how do you guys come up with the topics, and what process do you go through when you are planning out a podcast?
The big thing is we're connected to so many people that we just kind of know what's going on in people's heads and in people's pickleball lives, basically. So we know kind of what their pain points are, and we know what they're having trouble with, right? So we've been through that whole process. The unique thing about us is that we didn't play a racket sport before pickleball, but yet we've really gotten a lot better, right? So we've been there. we've been in that horrible spot where you just can't get the ball down, man, and it's so frustrating and yada, yada, yada. So we just say, okay, let's, what's going to help people the most in this next episode? What should we talk about that we know people have trouble with? As an example, there was one topic, I can't remember which episode it was, but it was about the social web of pickleball, about the social problems, the getting rejected in open play, the finding partners, getting all that sort of stuff. And we sat on that topic for like 3 months. We said we need to do this eventually because we know that people want to hear about it. But it was very difficult, extremely difficult to talk about, because it's kind of a, you can step on people's toes, right? So it's a thing where we say, is what we're going to talk about today going to be super useful for people? And if not, then, well, we'll have to do it another time, or maybe we'll build on it a little bit. But if so, then yeah, we'll just go for it. And a lot of it is just coming up with like 5 bullet points. Like I'll literally get a Google document, put like 5 bullet points on there, share it with Jana, and then she's like, okay, and that's it. And then we just go for it from there.
All right, nice. So I would actually love to learn a little more about your origin story, like when you two met and stuff like that. But before we do that, Eddie, I'm getting a little bit thirsty, so I kind of want to crack open a beverage just real quick here. Do you have anything that you're drinking today?
Well, I am, and as I've mentioned a few times in the last few episodes, I'm on a quest to be able to find the best hard seltzer out there. And I've tried a bunch, guys, and Henry's is still at the top of my list. And so I am enjoying this right now. I typically am a beer guy, but for some reason, I'm loving these hard sparkling waters, and I'm going to keep rolling with that. I'm having the lemon lime flavor right now.
All right.
What about you, Webby?
And I actually got something special here that I haven't had in many, many years. I took a break from the craft beer that I usually drink. I got kind of jealous because you've been drinking these seltzers for the last 5 or 6 episodes now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really considered hard seltzer, but it's like the closest thing. And I feel like this is almost like the motivation. This is kind of like the original hard seltzer type drink, if you will. And that is the one and only Zima.
Come on. Where did you find that?
So like about, I think it was like a year or so ago, they it got brought back just for it was like a limited release, limited time offer. Zima came back and I picked it up. And originally I was going to drink it last year for April Fool's Day if we did a show on April Fool's Day. So I've had these in my fridge ever since then. So they've aged nicely. I have some nice aged Zima here, and we'll see how this goes. And yes, it is a twist off, so I do not even need a bottle opener. So yeah, so that's what I'll be sipping on today.
I love it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What about you, Jana and Barrett? Are you guys drinking anything there?
I have an empty glass of water.
Okay, but we have to have a true confession over here. Barrett is going, "What's Zima?"
Oh man. Oh boy.
Oh man.
Oh boy.
How young are you?
My reaction was like, "Ooh, Zima."
Yeah, right.
Zima, I don't know. It sounds familiar though. It does sound familiar.
I'm actually drinking a non-alcoholic drink made here in Texas called Big Swig. And what got me, and I couldn't find it, so I had to settle for another flavor, but there is a pickle flavor Big Swig. So
nice.
Stay tuned on feedback from that, but all I could get right now was the ruby red grapefruit.
Okay.
Nice. That sounds good. But just in case for people like Barrett that aren't familiar with what Zima is, it is described as a refreshing citrus beverage.
It was very popular in the 90s, like early to mid 90s.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, it was. You know, what big thing back in college is a lot of girls would drink it and they would put a Jolly Rancher in there. And so it would give it like the flavor. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. That's awesome.
What were the wine coolers? You know, they were before that. And so wine coolers made a run and then Zima.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Bartles and James, was that what it was called?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I could not remember that part of it.
Yes, the wine coolers. Oh yeah.
Is Boone's Farm still a thing? Do you guys remember Boone's Farm?
I remember Boone's Farm, and then the other one, I think the one that kind of came on the scene, you know, was the Mike's brand lemonade, hard lemonade.
Oh yeah.
So
I recognize that one.
Lemonade, those took off. Yeah, those were huge. I feel like that kind of like I never saw anybody drink wine coolers or Zima once the Mike's hard line of drinks came out.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But all right, so now that my thirst is quenched, I guess. I mean, this isn't really my thing. I probably will not purchase this again, but it's probably good because it was a limited release last year. It probably isn't even sold anymore. So yeah, I will not be missing it from my life if I don't get it again. But anyway, back to you guys. So one thing I've been wondering is how did you two actually meet each other for the first time? How did that go about?
Well, what do you remember?
I was actually thinking about that today, and all I really remember is just playing together at Open Play. I mean, that's where we met. And, you know, there's a church not too far from where we both live that had play all day Saturday almost, you know, Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night. So we kind of found ourselves in the same spot 2 or 3 times a week. And so we just started playing, and it was clear that we were both learning, and we're kind of on the same journey. But I'm not really sure what motivated Barrett to even ask me if I would do this. I don't really know. So do tell. I don't think I've ever even heard. What inspired you to ask me? Well,
first of all, just to let everyone know, we were really bad at pickleball back then. So, I mean, we were like so terrible at the game. It was so funny. But so I started the podcast in, I think it was late July 2017. So almost 2 years ago. And I did the first 7 episodes by myself. I actually did the 4th episode. It was an interview. It was with Heather Canny, the lady that runs pickleball at the church that we played at, where we met. And so by the time the 7th episode came around, it was getting so horrible doing it by myself. I mean, I couldn't. What are you laughing for?
Because I can only imagine.
It was terrible. I could hardly get through like 25 minutes of talking about paddle cores and stuff. I mean, it was like the geekiest podcast. You know, I may as well have been talking about like software or something. And, you know, it just didn't have a lot of personality to it. Not that I lack personality, but when you're doing it by yourself, there's not a lot of contrast, right? That's why you have a co-host. You have a co-host because you get contrast in the conversation, right? So I thought to myself, well, who would be a good person to have as a co-host?
Maybe I was your only friend.
No.
At pickleball, not in life.
Yeah. But that's interesting though, right? Because we really didn't know that many people back then. But I thought about it. I thought, well, it's got to be female, right? Because you got to have. Because I listened to many podcasts where it was male and female, and it makes it so much more interesting. So I thought, okay, got to be female. So I had like a list of probably 2 or 3 people, but most of them were really busy. And
the truth is out. I wasn't the first person he asked.
No, I didn't ask. I only asked you.
I'm just kidding,
I
Barrett.
only asked you. So I think what I remember is going into open play. And I mean, this is back when I was getting no downloads. I mean, I was getting maybe like 1 or 2 downloads a week.
Mom.
Like, it was horrible. Yeah, basically like, honey, I enjoyed your episode. Like, oh man, come on. But
Sweet Kathy.
But so I remember just walking in to open play. I think I was maybe a little bit nervous because I was afraid of what she was going to say, like how she was going to react to it. Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. What, but I just sat down and said, hey, like, I've got this podcast. It doesn't get any downloads and like no one listens to it, but you want to be a co-host? And she was like, sure, why not? I'm like, great. And let's meet at my office. I have this little office up north, and we can try it out, do an episode. And she just slid right into it, easy peasy, professional level stuff. Was no problem. Our first episode was about how to get beginners into pickleball, like the best approach to take. Episode 8, and she just, I mean, it was just perfect, and we haven't gone back, and we've done it the same way since.
I really
That's
didn't know I
awesome.
was signing up for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
But it's been so fun.
Yeah. I mean, most podcasts don't last past like episode 3. So the fact that we're about to get to 100 soon is pretty incredible, really. And we're grateful for everyone for listening, by the way. We appreciate everyone.
Yeah, it's such a great podcast, and you guys have such great chemistry. And we told Barrett this last time, like we thought he did great when he did do the show by himself, but once you joined Jana, it just added an extra element, and the chemistry that you guys have playing off of each other, and just like your different experiences. I mean, it's awesome. Love it.
Would
you like to tell everyone about the Jana fan clubs?
Yeah. So, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think what Barrett probably didn't really know about me at the time is that, give me a microphone and a crowd, and I'll just step right up and take care of it. So it's been really fun, and it's easy to do this with Barrett, and he's so great at really framing everything up. So my part's super easy, but. What do you want me to say next?
So remember the story about...
Oh, okay. So for months on end, we got lots of great comments about me. So we'd have people around here that would travel to Arizona, and another guy was in Ohio and Florida, and they would say, "Oh yeah, there's a podcast there. Do y'all know Jana?" And so we love her. And so then we would also get, some comments, some really sweet comments on, on the podcast, just through email or whatever. Yeah. And so Barrett was like, why do they like you so much better than me? What can I do? So we had a really good time with that. So Barrett does have a lot of fans too. And so again, it's just been, easy for both of us, but I get to do all the fun stuff. So I think it's just, pretty natural to, I get to be the one to laugh and poke fun at Barrett.
The co-host is like the one that like people love the co-host. Like that's just like a thing in podcasting. So, but like she one guy in particular, a friend of ours, went to Arizona, and they knew he mentioned that he was from the DFW area, and they said, "Oh yeah, we listened to a podcast. Like we like Barrett and all, but we really like that Jana girl." Like, thanks. No, but we have a lot of fun with it. Yeah, we have a lot of fun with the jokes and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
And the listeners have been really super kind, and gracious, and it's really been fun. I even went somewhere and started talking, and someone said, "I recognize your voice. Are you Jana from the podcast?" And so it was really it's been kind of fun to see those things unfold. And again, just listeners have been wonderful. And I think that's just another testament to the sport, that people are just genuinely kind and interested, and the community that we have together. Just because of the fun and the kind of the common goals, it's just really been neat to see all of this unfold.
Yeah, it's been incredible, especially starting from nothing, from absolutely nothing.
Just an idea.
Yeah, just an idea.
Yeah,
It's
that is
crazy.
awesome. Yeah. Well, and then Barrett, I gotta give you major props for even attempting to start this podcast on your own for as long as you did, because I can't even imagine trying to do this without Eddie. I'm not sure. He might feel the same way. I don't know, but like it's just it's. There's been a couple times where like he would leave for a few minutes and I had it by myself. And I was like, man, this is like the longest 5 minutes of my life. What am I doing? I hope he gets back soon. It's like it doesn't have the same feel, doesn't have the same flow without us like playing off of each other and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I big props just for you even starting the podcast on your own and doing as many episodes as you did on your own, because they were still great episodes.
Thanks. Yeah, and I've done solo episodes when Jana can't make it too. So it's really hard because you have no feedback loop, right? You have no person to bounce things off of, right? So it's
Right.
challenging, but it doesn't matter now because we have to put out an episode. It doesn't matter if I don't like to do it or not. If I don't put out an episode, oh no, oh no,
They riot. The
Well, and I
fans will
think
riot.
yeah,
Well, and that was another deliberate, kind of part of what Barrett wanted to do because in the beginning we were doing them a little haphazardly.
Yeah.
We really didn't have a real frequency or routine. And then it just became evident to us that that was an important part of what we were trying to do. And so we, kind of committed to doing this every single week. And as you guys know, sometimes that can be a little bit difficult. But we made the commitment, we put that expectation out there, and we've done a pretty good job of sticking with it.
and that's what's so amazing because the podcast took off right after that, and then came episode 55, Corey Kelly's podcast,
Oh man.
and then Tyson, and then it really took off from there. It was really crazy. So
Yeah.
it's been,
And we talked about that a
been
bit
interesting.
when you were on last time. That Corey Kelly episode, every time I think about it, I've listened to it multiple times. Every time I listen to it, I get goosebumps. Like, that was such a powerful episode. So if anybody that's tuning in has not listened to the episode of the Pickleball Kitchen that had Corey Kelly on it, you have got to listen to that. It was just amazing.
And I just had him on. That was the show this week, actually, which was part 2 with him, episode 87. So
55 and 87.
55 and 87, yeah.
Yeah, so you definitely want to make sure you check out 55 first. Check out episode 55.
Yes.
Then listen to 87. You will not regret it. You might need to have some Kleenex close by if you listen to episode 55, because it was a little bit of a tearjerker, not going to lie.
It was.
It was, and we were, we record these in a fairly small room that we joke about, with really funny art on the wall. And I mean, the emotion in the room when we were recording it was palpable.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just really sweet. It was intense. And all three of us were, in tears doing it. So it was really special. And we love Corey. And he's just a really, special guy.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that was an awesome episode, no doubt about it. And I listened to the one where the most recent one that he was on with you, and he was talking about how much of an impact just being on your podcast has had on him, just because of the great feedback he got from people. Barrett, how does that make you feel, just knowing that your podcast had such an impact on somebody's life in such a positive way?
It's pretty incredible. It's really hard to describe, and I was kind of in shock really throughout some of that episode because I just couldn't really. I was like, "Wow, that's incredible," But it shows the power of, speaking about the things that were essentially tormenting him, right, on a daily basis, and not being sort of, having that courage of putting it so far out there that you don't know what's going to happen, right? And he did that, and I mean, it's incredible what's happened, really. And
Yeah.
I'm happy. I'm super happy. I'm super happy that I'm able to give him like a platform to speak on. Really, I think that's really important, And I'm glad that so many people have reached out. I think he mentioned that a couple of times in the last episode, that a ton of people have reached out to him for advice or for help or whatever. So the fact that I was able to give him a voice essentially is amazing. It's hard to describe, really.
Yeah, definitely. So one thing I've been wondering is how often do you two play pickleball together these days? Do you get a chance to play together frequently, or?
Yeah, I would say it kind of goes in spurts.
Yeah.
So we live in slightly different parts of town, and then because of the limited outdoor locations, they're a little bit more spread apart, and so I tend to go a different direction than he does. But I would say we try to drill once every other week or so.
Yeah.
And then I would say every other week we're in the same place playing. So
Yeah, and it's been a bit less recently just because of the work I've been doing with my website, but I've been playing a lot more recently, and typically we'll find each other every now and then, you know. So
All right. How are your skill levels compared to each other? Is one of you definitely higher skilled, or are you fairly on the same page or same level?
I say in tournament play, Jana's on a higher level than I am for sure. I think Jana, you're 4-5 for the most part, right? And I play mainly 4-0. So I think Jana you have way more tournament experience than I do too.
yeah, I've played in a few more tournaments, and quite frankly, I just play more than Barrett. So I play again sometimes 4, 5, 6 times in a week, and Barrett doesn't get out quite that often. So I think I've just been able to play a little bit more. And then, like I've said on the podcast, I love to win. So I just fight.
And I don't.
Nice.
Really. Unless it's a tournament, then
Must
I do.
beat Barrett. Just kidding.
I don't care.
Nice.
Just kidding.
Unless it's a tournament.
I go all out all the time when I play. So, I'm all in every time I get out there.
Nice.
This
That's
is
how
truth.
I am with
This is truth.
I feel like ever since pickleball entered my life, I have become like a far more competitive person than I ever realized I was. I love winning. Unfortunately, I don't win a lot, but I love to win, and so I'm constantly trying to get better. And one kind of funny thing is a lot of people don't realize that Eddie and I live on opposite parts of the country. I'm in Michigan, he's down in Florida, so we've actually spent more time playing together during tournaments than we have rec play. So like we'll sign up for tournaments together. We won't have a chance to play rec play to practice with each other. Like sometimes we'll go months. And then the first time we play together is our first game of a tournament. So, and it really hasn't worked out in our favor so far using that technique of not practicing at all before tournaments. But we're getting there. We're both definitely improving. And I feel like one of these days we're going to get a medal. I can just feel it. We're getting closer.
Yeah.
I definitely think that the styles of play too in Michigan versus down here in Naples are different. So typically, if we're going to show up at a tournament, I'm kind of used to one style of play. I think Webby, you're used to a little bit different of a style of play, and yeah, it just seems like when we try to come together for that tournament, it hasn't worked out well in our favor. I think you and I both play better when we're with other partners than we do when we're together.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. We absolutely do.
That's the truth.
Yep. And, but like Eddie gets to play a lot more than I do, and he's had a little bit more training, but I still feel like I should be able to beat him. Unfortunately, I haven't so far during any of our Eddie versus Webby matches, but I'm getting this close. I'm getting this close to doing it.
The 5-time champion right here. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, and it's interesting you talk about like the different styles of play, because I have not played in the Michigan area, but I've played over in Naples and Florida, and there's definitely a little bit of a different, it's very tennis heavy, style of play. And, of course we have tennis players here, but I think we have a really big variety of backgrounds in the Dallas area. But when you get to Naples, it seems like lots of tennis players.
Yeah, definitely quite a bit of tennis. And I honestly think that up in the Michigan area, you get a lot of racquetball people. So down here, you have a lot of people that are they're either driving and it's a low to high shot, or it's the soft game, and that's it. There's really not a whole lot of in between, right? Like Simone says, drop or drive, that's it.
Yeah.
I go up to Michigan, and people are hitting wristy shots from 3/4 of the way to the baseline that come flying at you, and you're all of a sudden, by the time you get your paddle out to block it, you're like, nobody in Naples would ever take that shot, and it works on you, and
Right.
you're like thrown off sometimes. And so I do think that where you are in the country and the background of any other racket sports that are kind of dominant in that area does play a difference when it comes to pickleball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've done an episode about that actually, where we talked about the strengths and weaknesses of like racquetball players, badminton, tennis, ping pong, and went
Golfers.
through all the a little bit of golf in there too. Yeah.
All right.
So
Nice. Got to give a shout out to Leslie White. She's tuning in. She's a big fan of the show, and she was actually our special guest referee in the most recent Eddie versus Webby match, Eddie versus Webby Part 5, which was our very first ever singles match. We've never done like a full-blown, full-court singles match. We've done skinny singles, but this was our first time ever doing a full-blown singles match against each other. And man, it was quite a battle. It was a very good battle, and I feel like we both played the best we've ever played against each other.
Yeah. Definitely.
I like this idea from Jack. By the way, I got to get a shout out to Jack here. He's been listening since pretty sure episode 1. So I always have to give him props for listening for so long. Thank you, Jack.
Oh man, that is.
I was
I
actually
just saw that. That's a great idea. How about an Eddie
That's a
and
great
Webby
idea.
versus Jana and Barrett challenge match?
Ooh,
Yeah,
I
I'm
Oh.
absolutely
I like that.
down for that. Love it.
Oh yeah, I that sounds great. What fun that would be.
I'll put that on my YouTube channel for sure.
Let's do it.
I think we need to make a trip to where Naples sounds like the best location for that.
I agree. I'm like 5 miles from East Naples. We have 40 some courts there now. I think we should set it up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, we need
Well,
to make this happen. This needs to happen.
I agree.
I'm down.
I'm in. Well, and I made a trip out to that area at the end of last year. So it was like the day after Christmas, and the forecast for the next 4 days was drizzle, rain, wind,
Oh.
and 28 degrees. And so I said, I'm getting on a plane. Where should I go pickleball forum to play pickleball? And so I ended up in Florida, and I landed in Fort Lauderdale and went and played over in Delray Beach, and where the Waters play, and then went across to Naples and played with my buddy Dominic Catalano. And then I went up to the coast a little bit from there to Marco Island and played in a little area there. So
Mhm.
then I flew back home, and it was awesome.
So I remember that because she was like, I'm getting on a plane. So if we need to record, we need to do it today.
I'm leaving on a jet plane
Yeah.
right now.
Just
I
ready to
remember
get
that.
out of there, huh?
Nice.
Yeah.
Peace.
And it was fun. And of course, true to the pickleball community, like so many people were so welcoming, told me everywhere to go. And it was great. It was really lots of fun. So I'm going to do it again.
We've talked about that before, where people will literally let you into their home and sleep in your house
Mhm.
because you play pickleball. That's the level that we've gotten to here. Pretty amazing.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's wild. I mean, lady I met said, have you figured out where you're staying? And she said, we have a, kind of like a guest beat or a pool house thing, and you're welcome to that if you want. And then somebody else said, I've got a VRBO that no one's in. You're welcome to use that. And so it's just,
Yeah.
crazy.
That's
Never
nuts.
met me, and just, offered to welcome me into their home. And so I think that's really special about pickleball. Special thing.
Definitely. Yeah, it's incredible, this community, and it's crazy how it's you can relate to it so easily with other people, and it's crazy. We actually have another question here for Jana from Suzanne Merrifield. She said, "So Jana, how many medals?"
Oh, Suzanne, or Z as we call her. I don't know how many medals I have, but I do think if you play pickleball, chances are you have a really big collection of medals, especially if you've played in a number of tournaments. So I would say I've had everything from super exciting, gold medal, wins. I mean, I don't think I'll ever forget my, 4 or 5 mixed gold medal. And then I've had some real disasters. Like I probably had 4 tournaments in a row this year where I went in, played 2 and was done, which is never fun. So
No, I know how that
I've
goes.
had
I know how that goes.
So I don't really, I need to go kind of count how many tournaments I've played in with, versus medals. And, I think, if you've played in a lot of tournaments, you kind of know which medals are your special ones and which ones, sometimes it lands, to be honest, where the way they combine brackets and break them up, sometimes you get a medal when there were only 2 teams in the whole bracket.
Yeah.
So sometimes those are neat because you got it, but maybe it didn't feel like you really won or earned anything. So I've got a little bit of a hodgepodge of all of that. I'll get the count to you later, Z.
Yeah, we need to know the exact numbers. So make sure you please let us know ASAP.
I threw away all the ones that are not gold. Just kidding. But it's funny because some of the medals are really cool. Like we have a tournament here, and the medal is shaped like the state of Texas, and it's just a really nice looking, medal. So there's some I love for that as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I really appreciate a good custom medal, like something that you can't get, like not a generic medal, because I think I have 5 or 6 medals so far, and a couple of them are just like the generic pickleball medals that you kind of see pretty regularly. So it's still cool to win them, but I feel like I don't appreciate them quite as much. But then there's some, such as the Beer City Open medal that we have. It's got the Beer City logo from the city, and it's just it's something unique to that location. Stuff like that I love when they're customized like that.
Well, the medals get attached to the experience that you had at the tournament. That's the thing. And that's the thing that I really like when tournament directors change up the design of the medal each year, because then it looks differently and you can attach that look to a certain kind of memory, right?
Yeah.
So I have a medal. I think it's a bronze medal, and I did not get bronze, right? I got last. It was terrible. But
bronze out of 3.
There were 3 teams, and we got bronze. So when I look at it, I'm like, that's the worst bronze thing I've ever seen in my life. But I played in 4-0, 4-5, 5-0 combined men's doubles, and we got bronze, legit bronze. And so that medal means a lot more because it reminds me of how well we did that day, right?
Right.
So,
oh yeah,
that's the thing about medals. The medals are not. I think it's important not to look at the medals as just medals, but look at them at the experience that they reflect and that they remind you of, both negatively and positively, right? Because sometimes the medals aren't, those silvers, man. Those silvers are tough, right? Because you lost the gold medal match. So they can sometimes remind you of stuff of well, I did have those nerves that day or whatever, whereas the gold medal is, I just triumphed that day and that was great, right?
Oh, for sure. And so far, I've only actually earned 2 gold medals in my pickleball career. And one of them, it was very hard fought. I love that medal because it was a very tough teams we played against. I'm very proud of it. And then the other gold medal that I have, it was a lot of the teams were kind of on the beginner side. It seemed like half of them were decent, the other half kind of on the beginner side. And it's I got gold. I dominated at that tournament, but it's I don't feel quite as good about it just because the level of the other teams, I almost felt like I was sandbagging, even though I played my skill level and I was still fairly new to tournaments. So it was a 3-0 tournament. But I feel like a lot of the people maybe were 2-5s or something like that. Like they were like, hey, I'm going to try doing a tournament for the first time ever. And they were still pretty new to pickleball. So it was like, hey, man, I almost feel bad, like showing off this medal just because I feel like I was a little, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, but don't be though, right? Because that's what helps inspire people to get better. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, like when they see that kind of stuff, like, you know what, one day I'll have that medal.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, at the time, I loved it. It was my first gold medal ever, and I liked rubbing it in Eddie's face because he hadn't won a gold medal yet at that point. So he won a silver medal at that point, but not gold. So I felt really good about that.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Well, and the whole, when you kind of look over the, kind of the tournament journey thing, I think one of the kind of the real things about what we're trying to do with the podcast, and I know what you all are trying to do, is, there's more people in this sport that are not pros, right? There's just a massive number of people in the intermediate, low advanced range. And that's why we think, there's such a big audience for these kind of conversations that we have, because that's like, just like you two, we're kind of on the same journey, and we can look back. And the very first tournament I ever played in, I played singles. I had the two experiences with pickleball that I told you about on the trips, one in Cabo and one in California. And then I had played maybe a month in the gym, and this tournament was outdoor. And so I go to that tournament, signed up for singles and mixed doubles. And in the singles part of it, out of 30 serves, probably, I'm just guessing, I got about 6 points. And those were the serves. I got a point when I actually got the serve in the court. So all the other, turnovers were because I literally could not serve the ball in the square.
Oh, I know how that goes too. I tell you, I think the last two tournaments I did were the first two tournaments that I didn't make a lot of serving errors. Man, the yips definitely have kicked in for me at tournaments big time when it comes to serving.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the yips soon. That's going to be a topic coming up very soon.
I'm the poster child for yips.
Luckily, I am not.
And so I have a lot of, and it's interesting because I played a lot of golf growing up, and I don't know that I didn't have them to the point where I would, I talked about it or thought about it, but I definitely have them in pickleball. And, from that moment in time that I told you about at that first tournament to today, the instance of them is reduced greatly. And I've kind of learned some tricks and how to manage through them. But it's definitely been a journey. And we've talked about him on the podcast before, and I've had people come up and say, I'm so glad you talked about that, because I have them too. And it's embarrassing, and I don't know what to do. And I will never forget, in the second tournament I played in, it was in a gym, and everyone is lined up in the bleachers, like 6 feet away from the end of the court watching, because that's where everybody's sitting all day. And I did something similar, and someone came up at the end and said, I do not know how you have a smile on your face. After that, you must be so stressed out. And I said, well, I am deep down inside, because that was the truth. But, it's like, what could I do? I mean, it just was what it was. And then over time, I've learned to manage that. And then, the other reality is that the more tournaments that you play in, the better you get at, reducing the nerves and the anxiety. And all these people that played in tennis tournaments all those years, this is nothing new to them. So I don't think they have those kind of experiences like the rest of us.
Right.
I mean, imagine, like, just to put it in perspective, imagine going on to a podcast for the very first time. If you've never done anything like that before, right?
Oh man.
Like for us doing this right now, speaking like this with you guys is just an absolute breeze. But if you've never been on one, it's not like that. It's the same way. And that's why, like, I have people who, like, they'll text me and say, oh man, we did terribly in that tournament. And then I'll ask them, well, who was in your bracket? And then it's just like tennis player, tennis player, tennis player, tennis player, tennis player. Like, well, no wonder they've been playing tennis tournaments for like 30 years. And that's
Right.
really think about that for a second. We're talking about people who have played competitive tennis tournaments for decades. Decades. Right. Got to keep that in perspective, man.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because I never, growing up, I never did sports or anything. I didn't do anything competitive. So doing tournaments in general was new to me. So like when I first started doing pickleball tournaments, man, I was sick to my stomach almost. I was so nervous because there was just something I wasn't used to. That's a huge part of it. And like you said with the podcast, like our previous episode was our 50th, and I kid you not, probably the first 40 to maybe even 45, I still got super nervous beforehand. I mean, obviously the first few were the worst. The first couple, we didn't do them live, but I was still super nervous about doing them. And then our first live one, man, I was like, I kid you not, I had a little garbage can near me because I just wanted to make sure, just in case I had to throw up, I didn't have to like run away to do so. But I mean, now it's definitely gotten a lot easier, but it took a while for me to get used to just even doing this.
Well, first of all, congrats on 50 and props on doing tournaments when you've had no tournament experience before, man. That's pretty extraordinary. Both of those.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh, thank you.
And I think, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, I think, again, you know, when you look out at the big world of pickleball, there's a lot more people like what we're describing than we probably even imagine. And, you know, I've heard over and over again, and this is probably a little bit true for me too. You know, I was, you know, competitive and I always played things. Now I was never a collegiate athlete or anything like that. I just was always doing stuff and competing, you know, playing golf, or, you know, if there was a, you know, softball game or a, you know, whatever, a volleyball game at church, you know, I was going to participate and play. And so you kind of, as you get past a lot of those things, you know, pickleball for so many people is like a new chapter of an ability to compete and really kind of live out the, you know, that competitive inner, you know, soul, and go out and try to achieve new things and challenge yourself. And I love that. And I think that's what I see everywhere I go. And I've, you know, been able to play in many different states now. And I just sort of see that, you know, here and wherever there's people playing pickleball, I think that truth exists.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think I can add anything to that. I think that's good. I know there's something I want to say, but it's not quite formed yet. I think that could be a good topic for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's something quite powerful about that though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, very, very well said. Couldn't agree more. And one thing I'm about to do, like I just recently actually started liking tournaments, because I've done quite a few tournaments the last year, and I kid you not, after almost every single one, I was disappointed with how I played, or especially the ones where I didn't get a medal or anything. I was like, man, why do I even do this to myself? Like I get super nervous beforehand. It's nowhere near as fun as rec play. Like why am I doing this? And then like I tell myself, you know what, I'm going to take a break from tournaments. I'm just going to do rec play because I have more fun there. But then like a week or two goes by and I'm like, I wonder if there's any tournaments coming up. I'm going to see if there's anything I can sign up for. And then I can't help it. Like I just can't help it go through it again. But the last couple I did, I actually enjoyed. I'm starting to finally see some real good progress with my playing ability, and especially the most recent tournament that I did. Even though I didn't win a medal, even when I go back and watch the footage of me playing, I'm actually kind of proud of how I did. And I'm like, man, I'm actually seeing progress. I think I can actually start competing at a little higher level. I'm still officially a 3.0, but earlier this year I decided I'm just going to do 3.5 going forward until I feel I'm good enough to advance from there. And I feel like my skills are definitely going up faster by playing in the higher level tournaments, even though I'm not officially that ranking yet. It's definitely helping my gameplay and my courage.
Oh yeah, it will. Oh yeah, when you play in that, sometimes you have no choice but to play in a higher level. Like I'll play 4-5 every now and then if it's like a combined bracket, or if I'm just playing with someone who just happens to be 4-5, so I have to go up to 4-5, right? And it's fine, but it's much harder, but it's so much more. You get so much more experience out of it when you play with people who just slaughter you sometimes. So
Right.
it's good for you, but it's good for you in the long run. And that's important, is to be careful of those short-term emotions of like, well, this sucks. You got to think long-term with this stuff. There's no instant gratification. It takes a long time for this stuff to develop.
Yeah,
for
and I
sure.
think I've kind of had that same, love-hate cycle with the tournament thing too.
Yeah.
And I think especially earlier this year, I had done, it just kind of went to areas that, you kind of add a tournament nerves already. You go to a new state, you're playing around people you've never seen before. It added a lot of stress to the whole tournament process, and it was hard for me to enjoy it, but it was also a good part of the journey, right? Because I think the more you do that and you put yourself out there and you try it, you might walk away and say, you know what, I don't think that is for me ever again. But then sometimes you walk away and go, okay, that was not bad. I think I could do that again. And then you kind of start to learn, what is going to set you up for the most success, both in just how you're going to play and how you're going to feel when you're done. And I think that's kind of constantly evolving. And, every tournament I've played in, I mean, I've had a few where I've just been like, that was, I don't ever want to do that again. And then I'll go, like you said, try it again. And then I'll have a really great, fun success. And then like, okay, I survived both of those. And, I know which one I liked better. So how do I make that happen next time?
And we're all doing this as adults now. Right. We're not little kids where this stuff they just assimilate it so easily and it's no problem. Right. We're having to do this manually, So it's going to take a little bit more time.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of my most recent tournament, we were kind of talking about this a little bit before we went live. I experienced something for the first time during this most recent tournament, and that was a bad line call, or at least in my mind, it was a very bad line call. And it was we were in the losers bracket. We had just defeated and eliminated the team before, and we were in the next round of the losers bracket. And whoever won this match would go on to the bronze medal match. So that would have meant guaranteed at least bronze medal. So we played the team, and this was the team that had originally defeated us in the first round of the tournament. So we had our rematch against them. They took an early lead, but then we started making a comeback, and it was an awesome match. It was by far the most intense back and forth match I've ever been part of. It was 1-15, like a lot of losers bracket matches are, and it at one point the score was 17-16. They were winning.
Wow.
Yep, 17-16. They were winning. They served it. We had a really good rally. Went back and forth quite a bit. My partner hit this really awesome cross-court shot. It hits the net and kind of makes it deflect up a little bit, and it lands down, and it caught the edge of the line. The other team called it out. And I'm not the type that will challenge a line call unless I am like very sure that it was like a bad call. So I was like, no, that was on the line. Ref, did you see that? Of course, the ref said, sorry, I didn't get a good enough look. I can't overturn the call. And this was the first time I've ever gotten really upset. And I was like, dude, are you serious? Are you really going to call this out? That was on the line. Like, it was, granted, it was like on the far edge of the line. It wasn't like on the inner part. It wasn't in the center. It was on the outer part, but it was definitely overlapping the line. There was no space in between. I am very confident that the ball was out. And they said they saw it out. There was nothing really we could do about it, and game over. The game ended with that call. Left a very bad taste in my mouth because it was the best tournament match I've ever been part of, just as far as how back and forth it was. We had great rallies. I loved the match. And then that's the way it ended. Like it left a very bad taste in my mouth. And that's the first time I've ever been kind of angry towards the other team after the match. I mean, we did the paddle taps, but I did a little kind of an angry paddle tap.
Yes.
Have you guys ever dealt with anything like that during a tournament?
I've never dealt with something like that where you lose the game on a bad line call. I have never dealt with something like that, because that's where things get tricky, right? Because it's like, was that really an accident? Question mark, right? That's the point. I've never dealt something like that. I have dealt with bad line calls, of course. Some people it's like really bad calls where it's obviously that they're doing it on purpose, right? Here's the thing, though, is that you have a couple of options. You ask the opponent, hey, man, like that was in, wasn't it? And if they don't say anything, which typically they don't say anything, you ask the ref, say, ref, did you see that? If they say no, you have to snap decision, let it go, and reset. If you don't reset, you're going to carry that stuff into the next point, and you're probably going to lose the next point. Because look, like in terms of the rules, nothing that can be done about that situation. Absolutely nothing. So you really have to have the mental agility to just, and I know it's hard, right, to let it go. Of course it's hard to let it go, right?
Right.
It's difficult. You have to reset, because that point starting in like 5 seconds, like there's no time. Is it in tennis where you go like grab your towel and that kind of stuff, right?
I'm sure the tennis people will appreciate that.
Well,
you have so much time.
You watch sorry, I don't mean it that way, but you watch the pro tennis stuff, and they have time to like grab their towel and get the certain tennis balls and stuff like that. Pickleball is very fast. So if you're not ready to move on to that next point, then you're probably going to lose the match, really. I mean, it can really turn the match, that kind of stuff. So like you kind of have to ask yourself, would you rather lose 1 point over a bad line call or lose 3 over dreading it?
Right. Oh, for sure. And I've seen that happen before. I know some people that are a bit on the hot-headed side, and they get so angry. And they, like you said, they can't let it go. They're so angry about it, and then it just ruins their gameplay for the rest of the match, or at least the next few points. So yeah, I absolutely agree. You have to, even if it's bad call or not, you got to be able to get over it for sure.
Yeah, and in your case, that's like the ultimate. Just that's the worst.
Oh, that's one you're gonna carry in your soul for a while, right?
Yeah. Like I go through phases. I go through phases where I'm like, okay, it's fine. Like maybe I was wrong, but then I'm like, you know what? No, I was not wrong. They cheated us out of they cheated us out of that match.
Yeah. I have not had that kind of drama in a end of a match, and I don't think I've really been in a match where I had anything in a tournament that carried on, or if I did, clearly I've forgotten it at this point. But I have watched matches where I've seen what you're just what we're describing, where and there are some people. I mean, I'm a very as I've described on the podcast many times, I am very I don't know what the right word is. Describe it. Passionate. Okay. I get very worked up about my own play. Like if I make a mistake, I'm very difficult. I'm hard on myself. But I've seen people in matches just like go crazy on every single point conversion, on every single shot. And it just is like, what in the world is that? But it hasn't really happened to me with people I've played, thank goodness.
I've heard ladies scream, like literally scream, and it's sort of like shocking, but that's just how some people are. I'm not like that at all, but whatever, man. Whatever.
Yeah, I know people that they'll throw their paddle. They'll get very worked up about stuff like that. For the most part, I'm very lighthearted when it comes to that stuff. And like I said, that was the only time I've ever gotten upset over a bad line call, because usually I'm able to just brush it off. But like after we played our hearts out in that match, and I don't think they did it intentionally. I don't think they intentionally made a bad line call. I think in their mind it really was out. But man, that's the first time. Like I didn't even ask him. I wasn't like, "Are you sure that wasn't out?" I was like, "No. That was on the line, man. that was on the line." And
and you're supposed to just call those in. That's the problem, and especially if it's like a match point like that where your call literally calls the game. If there's any doubt, like you gotta call those in.
Yeah,
and that's like part of the integrity part of the sport.
Oh, for sure. And there's been many times where like I'll go back and watch footage where I'll play a ball that like even in the moment like I thought it might have been out, but like I was like, man, I don't know for sure if it was out. I'm just gonna keep it going. I'm not gonna call it out. Let's keep it going. Keep this rally going. And then I watched the footage and it was like 2 or 3 inches out when I should have called it out. But like it just like when it's close like that, like man, I feel like you got to call it in. Just keep it going.
I wonder if there's a good line calls video on YouTube that we could watch.
Yeah, I wonder. Well,
if only.
Well, if
wink,
only.
Wink.
Yeah. Well, and I will say what's I think I've seen more, and I saw this at the U.S. Open, and I saw it at a regional tournament here, and one more somewhere else. I don't know if I was at the Atlanta Open, maybe, but where the opposing team, the line judge in a medal match called a ball out, and the team that would have benefited from the out call said no, that ball was in.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really respectable handling of kind of where this can get funny when we don't. There's it is tricky with a pickleball because they don't compress. A ball on the edge is technically out because there's less than a size of a dime where it makes impact, right? But the human eye can't see that when everything is moving quickly. So we have to, trust what we could see in that moment. And, I think it was really neat. And again, these were two of them were professional level, and then one was 5-0, and they made that call that kind of went against them and said, no, that was wrong. That ball was in.
Yeah, and it's great to see that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. And as far as that call I was talking about, I feel like another thing that made it sting extra bad is that it would have been side out had the ball been ruled on the line and inbounds. If it would have been the first server, I could have maybe been like, okay, let's say that was a bad call. They would have had another serve. They easily could have gotten game point. So maybe we still would have lost, but it would have been side out. So who knows what would have happened. So it's just, I'll stop talking about it because I don't want to get riled up anymore. But
no problem.
Yeah, it's just it's a bummer. It's an unfortunate way for a great match to end, but it happens. I know it happens. I'll get over it, and maybe it'll just fuel my fire, and I'll just.
That's right.
Or like everybody that plays me in the next tournament just better watch out.
I'll be watching you.
I love it.
Oh man. So man, time is flying by. I've got so many other things I want to talk about here, but I don't want to take up too much more of your time. One thing I definitely want to talk about though, Barrett, you were kind of talking about how there's a YouTube video out there about bad line calls. For anybody that isn't familiar, there is an awesome YouTube channel called the Pickleball Kitchen YouTube channel with amazing videos on all kinds of stuff. Have you ever heard of that one, Barrett?
I have never heard of it.
Heard of that YouTube channel?
Yeah, newsflash, breaking news.
New to me.
But no, so Barrett,
is that fake news?
Barrett,
fake news.
Yeah, but now Barrett has a great YouTube channel. If anybody listening has never checked it out, you've definitely got to check it out. One of your videos, it's a fairly recent one that you did that I absolutely love, is how to avoid popping the ball up, because that is something I still struggle with, and it's a lot of great tips in there that people should watch. Since the last time you were on the show, are there any specific videos that you've done that you are super proud of, or that you want to point out or anything?
Well, I don't know where I was when I last came on. Do you remember when that was, by the way?
Yep, I checked before the show. It was in March of this year is when you were on last time.
Yeah, the YouTube channel has exploded since then. The YouTube channel is about, in terms of like just the audience size, it's like 25 times bigger than the podcast. I mean, it's
wow.
massive. Yeah, so the YouTube has done very, very well, and it really shows how dedicated people are to getting better. I mean, really, like people love the sport and they want to get better. And like we just talked about how there's, a lot of people in that sort of 3.0 kind of area, and really, I think there's actually more people in like just the absolute complete beginner area, because my most popular videos and the one that I'm most proud of is my top 10 beginner mistakes video that's updated for 2019. So I made one about a year and a half ago, but I didn't put footage in it for some reason, and I got a lot of flack.
What a compelling video.
Yeah, I got a lot of flack for it, understandably. People were like, "Why didn't you put any footage in it?" It was just me talking in front of a wall. I was in like podcast mode. There was some footage, but
a live-ish podcast.
I quickly, exactly,
video cast.
Pretty much was. I quickly learned the error of my ways, and I got a new mic system, and I made a video about the top 10 most common beginner mistakes. It's got like 140,000 views right now.
Wow.
It's really helps people understand this kind of stuff that I don't want to be forgotten about it. Like we don't, like we've passed that area, so I deeply understand the troubles that people have with pickleball. Like I get it. Like I get it on a visceral, deep, down to earth level. I've got it. Like I was in your boat. In some cases, I'm still in your boat. And that's how I produce my videos, basically.
Yeah, we have the scar tissue.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
Yeah, that we're carrying forward, and we're trying to help everyone on this journey with just things like that, and then just the things that we talk about, because there are still so many new people coming into the sport, and there's still so many people that are trying to get better every day, and they're just searching for I think moral support and just information about just little things that they can do, and
that's not a guess, by the way. Like I've got the analytics, I've got the data to back up all that. Like I know exactly what's going on when it comes to what people are searching for, and a lot of it is just kind of like the basic stuff. Like there is a whole wave of people who are getting into the sport right now, and we may not see where that kind of ends up until later on, until maybe a few years down the line. But man, it's crazy. It's crazy how many people are on YouTube searching for pickleball stuff.
Oh yeah,
it's
nuts. Oh, I know. I'm on it constantly. Like we have our own YouTube channel, but we don't have we have a few training videos. Eddie's been doing some stuff, Project 4.0 with Tony from Into Pickle. Some great stuff there, but it's amazing how much great content there is out there. So it's great for beginners to be able to pick up great tips. Your channel has amazing content.
Thank you.
Another thing I want to talk about though is your website, pickleballkitchen.com. If I understand correctly, you actually went through a major redesign of your website. Is that right?
Yep. Yes.
Barrett went into a cave for 3 months.
Why don't you talk about it, Jana?
Yeah. 3 months later, ... we saw Barrett again. So bless his heart, he worked round the clock, coding and writing and designing and, belaboring over every great detail. And so he just really kind of went on about a 3-month, disappearing act.
Yeah, it was about 10 weeks. And it was great though, because I was also injured. So it was like the perfect timing, I had this horrible, kind of twinge behind my knee, like kind of where like the calf, like kind of like the top of the calf on the very back of my knee. And it was really annoying. And I couldn't play. Like I was afraid of injuring it. So I thought, I've had that website redesign project for a while. And the next day I decided to push the button and do it. It took about 10 weeks to do. So the thing is though, is that when I started the blog in early 2017, it was just a blog. It was literally just a WordPress site with like a theme on it and random pages attached to it or stuff. It didn't really look like a website. Like the blog was like the homepage, and it just wasn't. I knew it was useful and everything, but it didn't really have like a lot of personality. So I hired a photographer. We went and took a bunch of pictures of me in like the studio and then out playing pickleball and stuff. And we took pictures of us actually just downstairs in this place with podcasts for the podcast and stuff. And I created a bunch of different sections based on certain areas of pickleball. So like for dinking, it's pickleballkitchen.com/dinking. I explain a lot about dinking, and then I've got my content organized based on dinking. So there's like this grid of content, and you can pick whatever you want when it comes to dinking. And I've got third shot, improvement, control and finesse, mindset, and strategy. So redesigned the whole thing. Took a long time. I like didn't go outside. Like it was I had to do it though. I had to do it. Like it had to be done. I sacrificed my summer to do it. That's what you have to do in this world when you're a content creator. You know, you have to sacrifice things, and that was one of them.
Oh yeah. Yep, absolutely. And I know at least I know a portion of the hard work that you went through. I was part of the testers group that you had. You had people that were testing it as you went, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you like kind of recruited people as you went to you got feedback, you got real world feedback.
Yeah.
And I loved the process that you took to do that, and it was cool to see how things progressed
so
as you went
helpful.
through.
It was so helpful.
Yeah.
Because we talk about this, and we talked about this before, Jenna, is like when you play pickleball, you only have one set of eyes. You can't see yourself playing, right? This is why we talk about video all the time. You got to video yourself so that you can have that second pair of eyes that watch you.
Yeah.
So having testers for the website was that like 50, however many people, pair of eyes that were able to watch me. So I'm super grateful for all those people. That was so helpful, so useful. And I'll be making those t-shirts soon, I promise.
Yeah, I only did that so I could get that free t-shirt. No, I'm just kidding.
It's coming.
But no, great work, man. The website looks great. And if anybody has never checked out pickleballkitchen.com, you've got to check it out. It's the amount of knowledge you can learn from there is pretty amazing. It's got all of Barrett's blogs, every YouTube video he's done. It's got all you can get to access his podcast episodes. It's just, man, it's amazing the amount of content on there, and the redesign you did looks great. So anybody listening that's never done so, do yourself a favor, check out the website. It's great. You won't regret it.
Thanks.
Oh man, this has been such a fun night. I can't thank you guys enough for joining us. There's
Absolutely.
We could easily speak for hours about just the one topic.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's so many other things to talk about. That's just the great thing about pickleball. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I can meet somebody for the first time. If I know they're a pickleball player, we're instantly friends. We could talk for hours. And it's another one of the more proof how amazing this game is, and just how life-changing. And it's just, I love this game. I love everything about it.
I think we have some more time. We can do some rapid fire questions, or if anyone has any questions, we can do that if you want.
Yeah,
whatever
we
want.
do it. Eddie, I don't know if
Sure.
there's any current questions going on, or if you have anything for them. I say let's do like a little rapid fire round, and before we wrap things up.
Well, there was one topic actually, and I wanted to expound on it when you guys were talking about kind of the whole out calls and not being able to let it go, and how that can mentally destruct your game. Kind of interesting. This past weekend, I live streamed and played in a Beat the Buzzer tournament here at Pickleball and Tennis US in Bonita Springs.
Fun. That sounds awesome.
It was super cool. It was 8-minute timed matches, as many points as you can get in 8 minutes. And it was rally scoring, right? And with rally scoring, things can get confusing where you need to stand, right? Because if you're on the receiving team and you score a point, you got to switch sides. And that's not something that most of us are used to. We're only used to having to switch sides when we're on the serving team. So anyway, long story short, I'm sure you guys can imagine that led to a lot of faults. Our referees were very, very busy, calling faults. We had Julie and Larry Scott. We had, we had Hollywood Hostler out there, right? And so, there was a lot of faults called, and they were very busy kind of keeping everybody in line with it. But what was bizarre to me was, first of all, when Julie Scott makes a call, you don't argue with her. It's Julie Scott. You just you accept it, move on, right? But secondly, they were spending 20, 30 seconds arguing about a call when it's like you could have scored 2 points in that 30 seconds that you were arguing about the 1 point that was against you. Just get in position, serve, and let's go. And that kind of goes into what you guys were talking about a little bit, that mental side of it where you can self-destruct. And do you guys see that often? That kind of mentality of where it's like, I can't let go of this and it's going to definitely alter my game?
So yes, and that's why you have to have a good partner.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say too.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have that tendency, I don't tend to get wrapped up in that stuff. I do get a little bit more, focused on what I've done wrong, and I can kind of get frustrated with myself that might, cascade into, a couple of other points. That partner in either case, and sometimes it's mutual. I've played with people that get pretty quickly fired up about a call, and it's like, stop, no, let's move on. It's done. It's over. Let's go. And then conversely, I'll be the person that's like, oh, why did I miss that? You idiot, Jana, and then I need that person saying, okay, come on, you got this, shake it off. Let's go. But I do think the partner piece of it is huge.
You see the pros doing this all the time, like all the time. They're constantly talking to each other, and trying to keep them from getting to that point, right? Because there's a ledge that you go down, right, where you go into like an area of psychology that you just don't want to go to, where you totally self-destruct. That's what the whole come on, hey, you got this. That's what all of that is for.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have a good partner, and if you're open with that partner, then you're going to know each other's tendencies, like Jana said, and then you're going to stop that track from progressing.
Yeah.
That's the trick. But what that requires, though, is that you have to be honest with your partner.
Yeah.
You got to be open about that stuff. Like for the Texas Open, my partner talked to me about how he gets a little nervous sometimes, and then I told him, like, yeah, I get nervous and medal matches, like, big time.
Sure.
And it was great, which is great. So now we know each other, right, a little bit more. And so now when those things come up, we have a strategy. Again, that's snap. You got to snap, and you got to make those decisions on the court. So yeah, it's all about your partner in those cases.
Well, here's kind of the rapid fire question that goes exactly along with that. What are the words you like to hear? And are there any trigger words that when your partner says, it just pisses you off?
I have a YouTube channel, so comments don't bother me anymore.
He's developed some thick skin.
Yeah. I got one yesterday that said, "You suck." So I don't.
So creative, whoever you are.
Yeah.
No capitalization and no punctuation either.
Oh.
Just classic. But words don't bother me. But I think the big thing is just communication.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters what it is. You got to keep that bridge alive between the two people. Silence is the worst thing you can hear on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I see a team losing, especially if the players know me or I've taught them or something, if I see silence, I know they're losing. So I'll go up to them and be like, you better get talking or you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
That's just that communication. Just create that bridge. Let that bridge be there. Whatever is said is said. It doesn't matter. You say, come on, hey, we got this. That's fine. That's fine. You could say, hey, I like laundry on Thursday mornings. That's fine. Just whatever. Just say something. Hey, would you like a grapefruit? It doesn't matter what it is. Just keep that communication going so that that they're there, right? Silence is like this like passive judgment. It sort of feels like passive judgment sometimes, right? So if you take that out of the equation, then you both know that you have each other's backs.
Yeah, and I think too, I kind of have said this before, and some professional coaching type environments as well, but it's kind of like know thyself. So you need to know who you are and how you want to work with someone, so that you can tell someone, hey, this is what happens to me when I get into a tournament, or if you see this going on, I need you to help me in this way. And so I've gotten better at those kind of things as well. And I think it does help when you're, lucky enough to get to play with the same person over and over and over again. You just kind of learn those things and you know them. But if you don't, which I think is more of the world out there, and you might be playing with sometimes people you don't even know, you need to be able to communicate, hey, this is kind of who I am. And for me, honestly, just complete transparency, I might even have to say, look, I might say something that sounds a little sharp, but it's not about you, it's about me. So don't be upset because when I get in the heat of that match, and really in particular, it's all self-weight, like, oh my gosh, they missed that shot. It wasn't because they missed it. It's because what did I do before that I could have done better? Mm-hmm. So I'm constantly thinking like that. So I will get really, wrapped up in that. And, and I always sometimes I even have to say afterwards, like, hey, I know got a little bit excited about that, but that wasn't about you. That was about me.
Honestly, I think that if you're playing with someone you've never played before in a tournament, I think discussing your mental game rather than your pickleball game is going to be more beneficial in the long run. Like, as long as you're on a general same skill level, you can do the how you play stuff later, like when you're warming up and stuff. Like, that's the easy part. The hard part is the communication. The hard part is being a partner.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Even last night I was playing rec play over at East Naples, and I have a tendency that when my partner misses a drop shot, goes out of bounds, I want to just kind of like diffuse it. And I'm like, hey, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Like, you got this. And after the third or fourth time that I did that to the guy I was playing with yesterday, he got very upset. And he was like, it's not all good. I'm missing my shots. And then I was like, well, listen, man, there's nothing I can help you with then, because I'm trying to calm you down. And if you're going to be that upset with yourself, then all right, I'm not going to keep trying. Like, you go ahead and be mad. We'll move on. And so I think that was almost a trigger for him. It almost made it worse. And so I think if we would have, like you said, if we would have had that discussion beforehand, he probably would have been, more like, I don't need words of encouragement. I'm just going to work through it. And it's like,
don't give me positive affirmations.
Right.
So does that sound like me? Does that sound like me?
What?
Like, it's all right, dude. Like, no biggie.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I was thinking I might have said what that guy said.
Really?
Yes, for sure. Do not encourage bad behavior. I do not deserve positivity. No, and again, it's always it's just kind of what's going on, and the frustration if I've missed something like that, like 4 drops in a row. I know, bless someone's heart, if they're trying to encourage me and say, that's okay, good try. It's like, it wasn't a good try. That was horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It happens. You see it out there a lot. And
yeah.
I will tell you, I have one trigger, and that's when I'm playing, because sometimes when I start to play a little tight, and one of my partners I play with down here, Mark, he's really good at being like, hey man, it's all good. Calm down. You're good. And it helps me kind of soothe. But when I play with some other people who are like, calm down, it's like, yeah, let me just flip that switch. It's easy for me. Like that's a trigger for me. Like, I'm not trying to play tight. I'm not intending to do this. And so,
right.
I wish I was a little more like you, Barrett, where it's like that wouldn't get to me, but that one does, because it's like I'm not doing this intentionally here. It's
right.
It's my expression of my nervous energy in my play. And if you think that comment's helping, it's not. So stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it when people yell, "Calm down."
Right.
That's always slightly funny.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's really
everybody
calming.
calm down.
Right.
Hey man, you need to calm down right now.
Calm down.
Yeah. It's like, oh, too bad I didn't know about that sooner in all of this. Maybe I could have been a much better player if someone had just thought to tell me to calm down.
Right.
But so you see how important this topic is, right? Because we're sitting here discussing tournament partners, and we're talking about the social stuff and not the technical stuff.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep. 100%.
That just shows you right there how important that stuff is.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's funny. Oh.
So one thing I love about your podcast is, like, you have a great mixture. Like, there's episodes where it feels like it's just the two of you talking about whatever topic, Sometimes you have interviews with people such as Corey Kelly. And then recently, Jana, you interviewed Taylor, and that was on your own. That was the first episode you've ever done on your own, isn't it?
Yes, it was. It was super fun. I loved it.
That was fun to
Nice.
do.
Yeah, and
It was
Taylor
fun to,
was, yeah, she was great. And it was super easy. And, I think it's, it was just like having a great conversation with a great friend. And it was a great subject too. And I think that was what was really so fun about it, is that, I feel like we see like little glimpses of great community work that is starting to, be facilitated because of pickleball. Things at schools, just, and, kind of what Taylor was talking about. I think that's really a tremendous upside that we'll see more of in the sport, where we can use it to connect with other, community-based opportunities to help people. And I think that's wonderful.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I love that you two, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, that was a really cool one, just because it was, that first of all, first one with just Jana and not me, right? So that was I felt like a parent who like just dropped off their kids at soccer practice, because I was like, okay, Jana, here's what you do, and I hit the record button, and I shut the door, and I just sat out on the couch on my phone and just kind of sat there and waited for like an hour.
He was really thinking like, oh my gosh, I've left Jana alone with the microphone.
Yes, and the computer and the mixer board, and I'm like, what if she does this?
What?
How much did you have to edit out of that episode?
Actually, not that much.
Okay.
Not that
All right.
much.
That's
There
good.
were a couple of things like the outro music started playing. That was really funny.
Yeah, he didn't tell me that, the indie music was just going to start on a timer. So we were still gabbing along right past the end of the time we were supposed to. And the music started playing. And so we were like,
No, but it was good. It was a great episode. It was a great
cool,
episode.
it was fun.
That kind of reminds me, the outro music playing, it kind of reminds me, recently, Eddie figured out a way to give me control of like which camera angle we use and like different media content. And so the previous episode, number 50 with Simone, in the middle of her talking, I clicked the wrong thing, and all of a sudden it cuts to our intro, like the video and the music, like right in the middle of her talking. So I'm like, dang it.
Yeah.
I finally get control of the buttons and I mess it up.
You
Screw
had
it up.
one
You
job.
had one job to do.
Right.
Oh man, how fun was it to interview her? I love her. I think I love
man.
watching her play. She's just a beast. And I think it's super inspiring to watch her and listen to her talk about the sport, because she's just really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very lucky to be able to have her on. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but her and I working together on her YouTube channel. We just launched it about 5 weeks ago. And so it's been so much fun getting an opportunity to be able to work with her and film
That's
a lot
awesome.
of that. Like like the first time I met her, I was
Cool.
super nervous. Like, oh my God, it's Simone, and I was all hyped up.
Right.
And then you get to meet her, and she's so down to earth and so caring and so giving, and she just loves the sport, but she's also kind of like a badass too. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys got a chance to see her or not, but I posted a video a couple weeks ago of me getting a chance to play with her. And one of the main reasons I wanted to post that video, first of all, I just wanted to brag that I got a chance to play with her, because that's
No kidding. That's worthy for sure.
it was awesome. But because she's so much fun on the court during that social rec play, and she's funny and goofy and was dancing and singing, and she was talking trash the whole time. And it was just, it was a side of her that a lot of people didn't get to see. And so I really wanted to post that video, mainly because I was like, Simone, people got to see this side of you, because a lot of people don't see it. They see her when she's in tournament mode, and that's a very different Simone than the mom and the friend and just the person that's out there, living in this world.
Well, and that's what I love about what you guys do as Eddie and Webby, is you guys really get into that cultural side of things, the social side of stuff. Like we're responsible for teaching people about stuff, but you guys get into like the nitty gritty of the people side of things, and that's It's awesome. We need to hear that stuff. We need to see that kind of stuff.
Well, thank you. That's what we try and do. That's like with you guys. We want to get to know you guys and dig deeper into who you are, in addition to, what you guys do in the pickleball world for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love getting a mix of like getting knowledge from people, but then at the same time, like finding out like what do you do outside of pickleball and stuff like that. And it's just it's a side a lot of people don't get to see. And when Simone was on, that was awesome because I learned a lot that I didn't know about. And I recently got to meet her in person for the first time at the Beer City Open in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And such a nice, down to earth, fun person. And she did a little cameo appearance in our music video for Pickleball for Life. And she was just like, all I said was like, oh yeah, this is the line I want you to say. Just put some just do whatever you want with it. And then she just had so much energy with it, and she gave like this hilarious, awesome, like hardcore thuggish performance, and it was great. I loved it.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, when we figure out the internet interview stuff, we'll hopefully one day we'll be able to get her on. That would be so cool.
Yeah, I'm a it's kind of a who I want to be kind of fan. If I could only play like that, she's just awesome.
Right.
Oh, my knees are not good enough to play like her. Like there's just no way. I can't get that low.
And
it's insane.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's ludicrous. I love it.
Yeah, that's like the only thing that makes me feel good about losing to Eddie in the most recent tournament is that he got training from Simone. So at least I can say like, okay, I lost to somebody that got training from Simone. I don't feel bad about that.
Yeah. As it should have been. Wouldn't it have been embarrassing if he didn't win?
Yeah.
That's right. But what about all the other 4 times? Because I hadn't had any training from her before then. So
yeah, whatever.
Oh god. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, a loss is coming your way very soon, my friend. So I hope you're really appreciating your time with the championship belt, because it won't be there for long. Once I finally start winning, you're probably never going to see it again. So
I love it.
Just cherish your time with the belt.
And now Eddie's looking at his calendar. Let's see, what do I have planned for tomorrow? I need to drill. Let's see.
Yeah. Pull out the lobster. Try and get as much drilling time in as possible.
Yep.
Oh man. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. This was so much fun. I definitely would love to do it again sometime. Just
for sure.
We definitely got to make that happen. And absolutely the challenge that was discussed earlier, Eddie and Webby versus Barrett and Jana, that's got to happen. So let's figure out a time for that, and we definitely got to make this happen.
I'm legit down for that. Like seriously.
I'm on my way.
Yeah, I mean, we can be there.
Nice.
We can be there in a couple weekends if you want.
We're just right across.
Not in October.
I'm just right across the Gulf from you. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure something out for sure. This is definitely going to happen. But I can't thank you guys enough. This was a great night. And anything you guys want to say to everybody listening? And do you want to tell everybody the best way to follow you or keep track of what you're up to?
You can find everything on pickleballkitchen.com. Now everything is on there. So if you want to listen to us on the podcast, you can listen to it on the site. You can go to pickleballkitchen.com/PK podcast if you want to. You can also find it on iTunes, and you can also find it on Spotify. I also have a YouTube channel. I post a lot of stuff on there. And of course, I have tons of articles. I actually counted the word count for all the articles and stuff on the written content. And it's almost to the first book of the Lord of the Rings.
Jeez.
What?
In terms of word count.
Wow.
He's such a nerd.
Yeah. And I've read that book like twice, so I know exactly how long it is.
Oh, that's incredible.
So
I love it.
Yeah, and I also have an email list. So if you sign up for the email, you'll get an 7 to 8 week course that will be in your inbox every Monday morning at 9 a.m. So you can get that as well.
I'm gonna buy Barrett a Zima.
I still don't know what that is. It sounds like sounds like a car, like an 80s car.
A Zima.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Zima.
Thanks for having us on, guys.
Yeah, thanks again. It was awesome. It was really super fun.
Yeah, thanks for being here, and have a great night.
All right, guys. Thanks
Bye-bye.
for having us.
All right, thanks. We'll see you.
Bye.
Wow.
Oh man, that was so much fun.
Another great episode. Another two
Yes.
awesome guests. Having 2 guests on, man, it's cool. It adds a different dynamic to it, which I really like.
Yeah, I love it. It's been a blast every time we have two guests on, especially guests like Jana and Barrett. I mean, man, so much great knowledge and just fun discussions. I mean, it was great. Loved it.
I agree. There's one other comment that I wanted to throw out here, and it was in the spirit of the Eddie and Webby versus Barrett and Jana conversation, and that's from Leslie White saying Webby and Leslie versus Christy and Eddie. I still think that would be a good match. Both Leslie and Christy are awesome players, and
yes,
they're not afraid to hit it. Leslie hit me in the throat last time I played against her. So yeah,
nice.
I think
yes, that's
good.
Perfect. She should be on my team. I love that kind of spirit and that kind of attitude. So
that's right.
Yeah, I say we make it happen. I say the next Eddie versus Webby match is Webby and Leslie versus Eddie and Christy. What do you think?
Well, we did talk about that, where the person that didn't win would be able to choose the terms. So if that's what you want to do, man, I am 100% on board with that.
Yeah, I am absolutely down with that, and yeah, I'm putting it in right now. That is my challenge for Eddie versus Webby Part 6, a mixed doubles match, and yeah, I think that should happen.
Let's do it. That'd be a lot of fun.
Nice.
You know what else
Love
is
it.
fun?
I love it. What's that?
Who we're gonna have on next week?
Oh man, this is big. This is real big. And to help set the stage, I think we have a little video that we should play.
I agree. Let's roll it. That's right. We're talking about the new era of paddle tech coming October 1st, which is next Monday, right, Webby?
I think it's next Tuesday.
It's next Tuesday?
Actually.
Oh,
what does our calendar say? Let's double check here. We don't make sure we give the right information here.
Yeah.
I think it's let me see here. This is live TV, folks. You never know what's going to happen.
You're right.
October
it is Tuesday.
1st
You're right.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So next Tuesday, October 1st, Paddle Tech is making a huge announcement of some sort. Nobody knows what. We don't know what. But we actually are going to have the CEO of Paddle Tech on our show on that day, October 1st, the day of the big Paddle Tech announcement. So we're going to learn everything there is to know about what exactly is going on.
Yes, you are going to want to tune in for that one. Again, it's Tuesday, October 1st, the day that Paddle Tech is announcing all of this stuff. Curtis Smith will be live, and he will be sharing it with all the millions of Eddie and Webby fans out there. So you definitely don't want to miss that.
Yes, the millions and millions. That was a really bad The Rock impersonation. That was not good at all. Like I started it, and I realized it was bad, and I just, it didn't work.
No, you got to commit, man. Once you're there, you just go all in at that point, right?
If you smell,
Yep. Oh man, I don't know what